Cool. All right, guys. So we're gonna base our conversation today around the thing that we've been talking about the last couple weeks, and that is planning for 2021. At the end of the day, we are all, if you're on this call, your odds are running your own business, and if you're not currently there, the maybe in the future you will be, right? So. We get our real estate license and we have these grand plans of how we're gonna have free time, we're gonna make more money than we did, we're gonna be responsible for our own destinies essentially, and not report to the man. The problem is, and if you were on the business planning clinic call, I think you guys can relate, there's a vast majority, I would say, of us, and I say us in terms of just licensed realtors here in Ohio, we don't view it actually as a business. And so we don't approach things the way any other business would approach things. So if you go to a McDonald's, if you go to a Walmart, if you go to any place that makes money, any place that is a nonprofit even, I'm sure that they all have a business strategy and they work hard to meet those goals. I think for a lot of us, and some of us on the call might be guilty of this, and every once in a while, I would say I am as well. One of the first questions raised on the clinic today was, do you have a business plan that you work from daily, weekly, and monthly? And so what our objective with this call is to really just start to get you thinking, do I have a big picture goal in my head for what I want my life to be, and then reverse engineering that, so working backwards to say, okay, well, if I want to be a millionaire, I will probably have to make $500,000 by 2025, and if I want to make 500,000 by 2025, I probably need to make, I don't know, 250 by 2022. They're reverse engineering it down to today. Like, what do I need to do today to start creating that positive momentum so that I can be that millionaire that I want to be? And then working that thing daily. So there's days where, I'll wake up and maybe I just don't feel good. I don't feel motivated, and I drag a little bit of butt, and lo and behold, I look at the clock and it's 5 o'clock and I miss a whole day of what could have been productivity. Did I work towards my goal of making $1 million in a year? No, not at all. And so as business owners, especially as solo independent business owners, we have that responsibility. And I think what happens is, Kellyanne flashed up a stat today. It said you're 42% more likely, I believe the number was, 42% more likely to hit a goal if you've written it down. So we're all going to write down some goals. I'm not going to ask for those today, but there are several goals that I think we need to really start putting on paper. During this clinic, if you were on, we actually took a few minutes to jot down some goals for this upcoming year. And it all starts with, how much do you want to make? So if I was to ask you, how much do you want to make next year? Is that something, this is a rhetorical question, is it something you've thought about? Because that's the whole aim of what we're doing. Our aim in coaching is to get you to wherever it is that you want to be. And the beauty is that all 5 of you have different goals, I would estimate. And they're not all financial. How much is your time worth to you? How many hours a week are you hoping to work? Those are things that I want you to really start wrapping your mind around, so that when we have our next few calls, we're able to reverse engineer that and get you to it. So once you have a business plan, and it starts with that ultimate goal. So if my business plan next year is to make, let's just use round numbers, I want to make $100,000 net next year. Well, I can do some math and derive how many homes I'm going to need to sell to hit that number. And we'll go over that. I'm not sure that this is the forum to go through 5 different people's numbers, so we'll do that soon. But once you've got a goal, write it down. That's the biggest thing. Write it down And I'll tell you what, we did a practice last year. I thought it was the corniest thing in the world. We had to go to an ALC retreat, and everyone was required to bring a poster board with them. And the poster board, I feel like I was in fifth grade. We had to make a collage of our big dreams and our goals. So after poo-pooing it, I, 2 days before the thing, I was like, I better do this. Otherwise I'll probably be looked down upon. I started in on it and I realized, no, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this big. So I decided to break it down into different categories. And ultimately what I discovered is, man, I really put some energy into this. And I actually have this goals collage hung on my wall in my office. And every day I walk right by it, and it's bright green, and I see it, and I see my goals, the things that I wrote down a year ago. And you would be shocked at all the things that I wrote down as long-term goals that have come true already this year. Mm-hmm. It's what's the saying?
So
a goal is just a dream until it's written down and then it becomes reality. I don't know. I could have just totally made that up. If I did, copyright that, please. Did somebody record that? Great. But I think Abraham Lincoln once said that. So it's important, though, to get these things on paper. Some other ideas that came from this business planning clinic, and this was 4 hours, so I'm just taking some low-hanging fruit here. How many names are in your database? Chelsea just said not enough, never enough. Do we know? I gotta say, we keep adding names. Last I checked, we were maybe 650. I'm not sure if that's still accurate or not, but that's nowhere near enough. And so I started thinking when that it wasn't even a question they asked, but I read something about database on the Zoom call, and I just got to thinking, if our livelihood depends on the people that we know, shouldn't we know more people? Mm-hmm. And I've preached that to you guys multiple times. Real estate is who you know, and so you need to know more people. It is just that industry. If we're not social people, that's okay. You still need to bite the bullet and add contacts to your command database. Brian, do I understand that you're officially switched over with us now? You're all good. Great. So what you'll see access to in the next few days probably is KW Command. And KW Command is your one-stop shop for CRM.
I met with it yesterday and actually started on some of that because I already have a buyer I'm working with showing stuff tomorrow. So we got him entered as a lead opportunity and started going through some of that. And there was a Zoom thing last week kind of outlining the various functions and how to do it that Rachel did as well.
Perfect. And so I'm glad you know what we're talking about then. And so you might have just a handful of people in there. And I would challenge you this first, hey, one is all you need. So you can start dragging them through the opportunities. It'll be a great learning chance for you. But this first month or so, we want to really focus on getting all the people that you know into your command database so that you can communicate with them in a simple manner, put them on some campaigns and really hit them and just remind them. And this is a great opportunity for a person like you who's just switched their license over to new brokerage to do some marketing and self-promotion and reinvigorate your sphere. But ultimately, I want you to ask yourselves, how many people are in your database, and what would it look like to feel really good about ourselves on December 31st this year with where we're at currently here on October 15th? We got like 2.5 months left. What could we do to make a major impact on our database? So, how do we approach that? And this is I'm going to open up to the group. How could we increase our databases?
Like short of putting our phone contacts list stuff like that.
I love that. That's a great option. So everyone except for like Chelsea, who I know doesn't have an iPhone, if you go to your contacts in your phone and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a number. That's how many contacts you have. That's the number of people you should have transferred over into your database in Command.
Hmm.
So great call out. What other ways can we, how can we meet new people? It's
Like
funny,
host.
oh my God, COVID's happened. We're not allowed to talk to people. That's not true at all. But
No.
how can we expand our databases?
Like getting involved. Like I'm part of the PTO at school, and I just met a ton of new moms this year with new kiddos coming in. So I think just being plugged into your community, your school, church.
That's beautiful.
Take up new hobbies.
Pick up a new hobby. Amen. So
like that.
Brian and I were talking, and he's big in the mountain biking scene. Brian knows quite a few people who ride tournaments and stuff. And those are low hanging fruit. It's people that already know and like you, most likely. So if you've already got the contact information, just plug them in. I think we shared this like a month ago. Don't say no for people. Like, just put them in your database, send them stuff. Odds are they like you, they know you, they won't delete your stuff. Every once in a while they will, but it's okay. Don't say no for people. Keith, you have a couple different jobs, don't you? You're in IT, you're a preacher.
I am a preacher. I own an IT business. I do IT work for a full-time job and real estate. So I've got like 4.
Okay. So do you know people through these other avenues?
Yes, I do.
And rhetorical question, are they all in your database? We've all had other jobs.
Probably not.
We've all had other jobs in our past. It's more low-hanging fruit. Just go back to those people and say, hey, John Smith, it's been a while since we talked, but I'm just updating my database. I'm a realtor, and I want to make sure that I've got you plugged in here so that in the future, when we run some really cool events, giving away some free stuff, I'd love to be able to reach out to you. Does that sound okay? And they're always going to say, oh yeah, sure. Well, you've always got my phone number. Here's my email address too. Great. One last thing. Can I get your home address so I can send you, maybe great information about your home in the future? These are people that you've already made friends with in the lunchroom, the cafeteria, whatever it is. Just grow that database. Any other things that we've not talked about, ways to grow your database?
Social media.
Yes, sir. Social media. And Chelsea said something, she's muted, but she said any interaction that you have, anybody is low-hanging fruit there. Your barista behind the coffee counter, your clerk behind the gas station counter. What's to stop you from going to the same place on purpose? Let's say you get great service at a certain Starbucks. Why not keep going back at the same time each day and establishing some rapport with Lucy behind the counter? And then
I did that at Roosters.
What's that?
I did that at the German Village Roosters. Gave my card to pretty much everyone who worked there.
Nice. Was it only girls?
They only employ women in the front.
Gotcha.
So.
Like, that's a real thing? Is that illegal?
The German Village Roosters, is that where you said?
Yeah, German Village only hires female wait staff and bartenders.
Yeah, I've been in there a lot before. That's funny. We probably crossed paths before.
Probably. I've got clients from that.
Nice. So you can find clients everywhere, but it starts with getting them plugged in as people that you know so that you can contact them systematically. So I've spent enough time talking about your database, but I would challenge y'all. I see most of you have, pens or you're probably in front of your computer. Write down a number. How many people would you like to add to your database in the next 2.5 months? Write it down, and therefore your odds of meeting that goal are increased by 42%. Now, when you have a coach like me, hey, those odds, when shared with your coach, increase to 77%. That's pretty sweet. Hey, Katie, would you mind next week when we when we send out the form, can we add that as a question into our Google form to please give us your goal for how many, actually 2 questions. How many contacts do you currently have? How many contacts do you want by December 31st? And the reason I'm not saying like 2021 is because 2021 actually starts like right now. If you think about it, if there's a 30 to 45 day lead time between signing a contract and closing, we want to get you guys paid starting January 1st. So I want you guys to do some work, pull some work forward. We always used to use that term at Walmart, like whenever we had a big visit coming or inventory coming, we want to get as much work done as early as possible so we don't have to worry about it coming closer to the deadline. Same holds true for our businesses. What work can you pull forward? And that's exactly what we're talking about right now. Don't wait, do it now. We talked a lot about models and mindset. There are 5 models, and they're all outlined in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It's the red book that some of you have won, or some of you already have. If you need a copy, holler at me. I'll get you a copy. We need to get that in all of our hands, because the Millionaire Real Estate Agent is literally a guide to becoming a millionaire real estate agent. And it's not brain science, rocket surgery. It's like a step-by-step guide. And so using these models that we talked about today, I'm not going to go into each model. That would take 4 hours, and I don't think we want to be on that long. But using those will allow predictable results in our businesses. A lot of people become realtors, and we kind of fly by the seat of our pants. We don't know what models to install into our business, what's going to work for us. And so we just fly, again, by the seat of our pants. And therefore, we're not going to have consistent paychecks year to year because we're just winging it. If you establish models and systems, your life's going to become easier. And that's why we try to instill in everyone to, hey, let's get your contacts into command so that we can establish some easy systems. But I wrote down mindset in regards to models. As business owners, what do you think a positive mindset looks like? Or a winning mindset? Keith, what do you think? I hear your chair creaking, so you win. What do you think a winning mindset looks like?
A winning mindset. I may define the mindset a little different than you, but to me, a winning mindset means that I've established clear, attainable goals. I've developed a plan to work towards those goals, and I've decided that that's what I'm going to do. Whatever obstacles I need to overcome along the way are just that. They're just obstacles. They're not reasons to stop. And that if I'm going to make excuses, a peanut butter sandwich is as good as any. So.
What? The peanut butter sandwich?
Yeah. I can't call my contacts today because I had a peanut butter sandwich for lunch.
Okay.
That's a good excuse as whatever excuse I would throw in there. You know, I mean, it could be, I was too busy doing something else, but the result's the same. I didn't get accomplished what I wanted to get accomplished. And so I like to set things down to where my days are pluses or minuses. I actually keep a running tally on days I hit my goals consecutively for daily goals. And then when you have to erase it and start over, it kind of hurts a little bit. And so that's something that, but that's kind of attitude. It's just a can-do attitude. You just do it.
The word that you said that stood out to me was you make the decision. A winning mindset is a decision that you have to make.
Yeah.
You're either going to be positive or you're going to be negative. If you're going to be negative, odds are people don't want to be around you, first off, because you bring them down. But odds are you're probably not going to want to be around yourself. And at the end of the day, we really want to be happy. And so I think people who make that decision to strive towards their goals and not make excuses. So we say one of the bold terms is you can have results or excuses, but you can't have both. Excuses are for people that aren't going to meet their goals. Excuses are for people that aren't going to make the money that they set out to make. There's just so much there. Keith, good job. Thank you. What's some more aspects of a positive winning attitude?
I'm a big believer in, it's kind of cliche, I'm sure a lot are, but I'm just talking positive, like words of affirmation. I have a 13-year-old that we talk to about this all the time. When we're doing schoolwork and it's, I'm stupid, or no, you're not, you're so smart. And just speaking over your life, what you want out of your life. I believe what we speak, we put into action on a daily with the words that come out of our mouth.
I love that. I love that. And so let's put that in terms of your children. If you continuously beat them down with negativity, right? What are they going to grow up to be? They're going to probably grow up to be a negative person, feeling like they're never good enough. The same holds true for ourselves. If we start to talk down our own actions, like, oh, I'm terrible at this thing. You keep saying that, you're going to start to believe it. Bold instills in us that, so I keep referencing Bold, Business Objective Life by Design. It's a class. It's available to us all here in the next couple weeks, next week or two, actually. I think it might start. It's all online, and there's some great resources here. But the person who created Bold did studies on brain patterns, and you can actually create ruts in your brain or in your thinking. I don't know how the science behind it works, but if you continuously are saying negative things about yourself, you're building a rut, and you're building like a line of memory in your brain. But it's when you start to say positive things that to your point, Dawn, you're creating new mindset, and those things are going to come to fruition. Real good stuff. Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of key components from positive mindsets and winning attitudes. Look at all the people who are out there winning right now. So let's look at the LA Lakers. They just won a NBA championship. They certainly didn't do it by beating themselves down after every game that they lost. They learned from each loss. They got better. They didn't, blame each other for their losses. I'm sure in the locker room some things happen there, and I'm sure that their coach didn't only beat them down. I'm sure they lifted them up in some capacity. But ultimately they decided LeBron James, best basketball player in the world right now, decided that they were going to win the national championship or the NBA title, and they did. What work are you doing today after this call, tomorrow morning before everyone else wakes up? What work are you doing to win your version of the NBA title? If your goal is $100,000 net profit next year, what are you doing today to make that happen? Keith, I love what you said. You do it pluses and minuses. How's your week looking so far?
So far, so good.
Good. I also want to say it's okay every once in a while to have a day where you need to work on yourself or where you need to recover, relax. Katie's a little ill today. I'm sure that you need to be in positive spirits. So it's important to work on yourself. Going back to mindset, we've talked about this in the past too. Like, if you have a terrible mindset heading into your day, how are you going to take care of your clients the most positively? So why not start your day by working on yourself? Why not start your day by waking up and getting into a book or writing down 3 things you're grateful for, or journaling, or going for a jog or a ride on your mountain bike? There's so many different things that you can be doing to work on yourself and to start your day off on a good note. For me, I wake up at 5:30 each morning. I get into the Bible a little bit. I do some gratitude stuff. I do some journaling, which is not my favorite thing, but it's a muscle I'm trying to improve. And then I read a book for a while, and then I start my day. But after that, I feel really good about myself. And then if I can, I get a jog in there in between getting the kids off to school and stuff. But I think it's very important to work on yourself and work on your health. Make sure you're taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others. The question was asked, what's your big why? I want to pause on this for a second. She actually had us write this down. I think I'm gonna try this with you guys as well, and I'll ask you to share if you want. Why is it important for you to be successful? You just need one reason. So let's all take 1 minute and just think on that. What is your big why? Why is this important? All right, so the question is, why are we doing this? Why do you need to hit that big number? Why do you need to only work 40 hours a week? I will tell you, when I paused and actually thought about this, I wrote, my big why is to bring in enough money to improve the lives of those around me, such as the community, my family, but ultimately to give more money away. Anybody else want to chime in with what your big why is? There's no right or wrong answer.
I simply want to live a better life and give my wife a better life than our parents were able to give us, basically.
That's great, man.
I'll just chime in. My specific why is not money motivated by any means. I feel like my why, just coming from like a Christian lifestyle, is I just want to change people's lives, and I want people who buy homes with me to feel as though they were served, not like they were a paycheck to me. So my why is to really kind of affect others and turn my home selling business into some sort of ministry.
Beautiful. Keith, can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right, we're not going to go through everyone, but it's important to have a big why, because if you were to write that down and put it on your wall and remember it every day that you woke up, maybe you put it on your ceiling so that's the first thing you see when you wake up. Is that going to impact the way you start your day? And are you going to be more motivated then to go out and earn that money or to make those additional connections? Absolutely. So, know your big why, write it down. Additionally, when you do set a goal, like a financial goal, they talked about thinking really big. So they pulled out the analogy of, if you want to climb Mount Whitney, which is in California, I don't remember how high it is. They said 4,000 meters, which, go ahead and do the math. How many feet is that? Anyone? Bueller?
12,000.
Okay. 3 feet in a meter? 3
Roughly.
feet in a yard.
Wow.
Maybe.
Close. They're
We're
close
having
enough.
the wrong discussion here. Anyways, it's high, okay? But if you wanted to climb Mount Whitney, why not aim for Mount Everest, which is, I don't know, they said probably 3 times the height. And if you only got to base camp on Mount Everest, you will have achieved more than Mount Whitney, I think they said. I equate it to running a marathon. So when you set your eyes on a prize, and I've done this once and I tried another time and almost died, but when you set your eyes on 26.2 miles, you have to reverse engineer it into more manageable chunks, because if I say, hey, I want to run a marathon, I'm not just going to pick up and run it today. You have to work towards it, right? And so if I say, okay, I want to run 26.2 miles by, I don't know, let's say January 1st. Well, I'm probably going to have to reverse engineer and say, well, I need to run 20 miles by Christmas. I need to run a half marathon by Thanksgiving. And you'll start to establish some really manageable goals. And so if you need to, this is just a really good way to break down your year. If your goal is $100,000 in income by December 31st, 2021, well, how do you break that down through the year? We know that the year is kind of like a bell curve, where January and February may not be quite as busy as March, April, May, June, July. And then we start to see a downturn in the business. So we're going to do the bulk of our business during that time. But really, if you're thinking through it, you got to have 50K by June, July, right?
Right.
And then you'll be able to make up the difference. But consistently revisiting your goals is super important as well. So if I am training for that marathon and I had a bad week, I got sick. Katie gave me a cold. Thanks, Katie. And so I had to take a week off of training. Well, I need to reevaluate my goal, and now I might need to up the training a little bit. And that's just what we're doing here. When we have a business goal and we know that we're a little bit behind, we might need to pick up our activities. And with COVID, I think that happened for a lot of us, where we realized, oh man, the business is different than it was last year. I'm gonna need to change it up a little bit. Maybe I need to go back to the basics. Maybe I need to go do cold calls. That's where I can come in and help you through that. But think strategically. And if you need to reposition yourself in order to hit those goals, remember your big why and why you're doing it. Regain that motivation. Feel energized with a positive mindset, because you've said your positive affirmations. Dawn is good. Dawn is great. And hit those goals, right? I also want to thank, in talking about the leads that we're giving out. So we're giving out a lot of Facebook leads through Facebook ads. And, I'm not hearing of a lot of right now business happening. Chelsea, did you have a showing with somebody from Facebook?
I did.
Chelsea had a showing with a lead that we had given her. So that's a positive. That's like right now business. But I think for the most part, a lot of these leads that we're giving out are nurture leads. Can anyone describe what a nurture is?
Or keep my name out in front of them. And so when they have a real estate need and need a realtor, that they know to contact me.
That one that I showed was an old lead, and I put her on.
So Chelsea, I don't know if you could hear her, but she said that lead it was an older lead, and she had put them on a smart plan, and she had actually responded to a text. That's a nurture. A nurture is not right now business. And so when we refer to pipeline or like future business, we're talking about nurtures. So a perfect explanation, Keith. It's somebody who, if you keep in front of, they'll remember you when the time is right. I've got an example of this just today. A lead that I hadn't talked to since May 28th reached out today because I had met him and established a relationship with them and said, hey, I know it's been a long time, but we'd like to see a place this weekend. Are you cool with that? Well, heck yeah. It's a nurture. It's a long game. And so we have to remember that is that it's okay to have future business, to have future pipeline. We always need that. It's when the pipeline runs out that we really need to be concerned. When we're only dealing with right now business, we should be concerned if we are only working with 2 buyers and we have nothing else in the pipeline. So take these leads that we're giving you guys and make sure that you're putting them on smart plans, because the proof is in the pudding. If Chelsea can put someone on a smart plan and actually get a showing out of it a month or 2 later, that means smart plans work. How much work did smart plan, how much work was that to keep updated with them?
Not much at all. I just went through that step by step that Christina had actually shared with us a while back, and I just modified it a little bit, the script to fit.
Great. She said not much work. We're going to talk about this next thing here in the near future, but we talked about a 411. A 411 it's essentially a 1-page document in which you start with your one big thing. So if my one big thing is I want to make $100,000 next year, below that, you're going to do one other thing. What one thing is going to get me to towards my goal of $100,000 this month? So you go, here's my year goal. Below that, here's my one monthly goal that's going to lend itself to getting me to that one big yearly goal. And then below that, what are 4 things that I can do this week that will help me attain that bigger, that monthly goal? So let's say I want to earn $100,000 for the year. My monthly goal is I need to set, I don't know, just say 10 appointments in order to, calculating all my appointments and how my conversion rate looks. If I get 10 appointments, I should really be well on my way to that $100,000. Well, what are 4 things that we need to do this week to get some appointments? So what are some things that we could do? I want to ask the audience here. What are 4 things that we could do? There's no right or wrong answer here. What are some things that we could do this week?
Door knock.
All people in your database.
Door knock, call people in my database. There's 2. And it's not the answer, Brian, that's a great answer. The answer is maybe not call everybody in your database, but just stay on your system. So if your system is to call all the people whose last name starts with A and W this week, then we're going to call all them. We're going to make darn sure that we do. And at the end of the week, or let's say Wednesday, we haven't even started, we need to course correct and we need to make sure that we nail that. So that's one thing. Number 2 could be go door knock our farm. Okay, well, what does that mean? Let's put a number to it. We want these goals to be tangible. We want all of our goals to be tangible, because if we don't have a number that we're working towards or something that we can clearly define, then really it's just a dream. We haven't done a good job of defining what success looks like. So maybe it's door knock 100 doors. Well, if I've gotten to Friday and I've only door knocked 50 doors, that means I better door knock 50 more today. It's providing some self accountability. Maybe another thing would be, maybe I want to run a Facebook ad and try to get some leads that way. Maybe I can get 10 leads and 1 appointment. And then there's plenty of other stuff that you can do. Maybe in non-COVID times, you attend an event and try and get your name out there. Maybe you try to do a bold 100 where you do 100 contacts in a day. There's all kinds of stuff that we could do. I took a screenshot of something today. I'm going to send this out. These are all the different ways to prospect and or market. And I thought this was a great synopsis, a very condensed version of what that looks like. I'm actually going to text it to y'all now while I'm thinking about it, so that you guys will have this in your toolbox. And so the thing to think of through this, and this is, Katie and I were talking earlier in the week about what we want to really focus on as far as generating leads for next year, 2021. Like, what are some things that we're passionate about? You should all be receiving this here in a moment. So if you were to go through this list and maybe just earmark 2 or 3 things that are things that you like to do that you could foresee yourself having fun doing, and then make a business out of it. I would rather really like what I do and have fun doing it than just hate doing it. So like cold calling, for instance, I don't mind doing it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a passion of mine though. I'd much rather do a client event, because I get to actually meet people in person that I already know and love. And that's where most of my business is going to come from anyways, right? So take a look at this and maybe zero in on 2 or 3 things that you're going to do next year. And then start planning about how you're going to execute them. So if I want to do events next year, well, what are some COVID-proof events that we could maybe do next year just in case COVID is still raging? Here's an idea. This is something I'm doing. We're doing a fall family photo shoot. Well, I'm never going to be face-to-face with that person with more than really 2 or 3 people if they bring their family, maybe 4 or 5 people. So according to rules, right, we're still compliant, but also like the photographer is not going to be like touching these people. They're going to be a far enough distance away. So that's a good COVID event. It really doesn't cost much. Think of things that we can do that are free or nearly free. Maybe you've got a photographer friend that would love to earn some, maybe a couple extra dollars or at least a good word of mouth. Maybe you try and drive people to order their photos from that person. You could do spring photos, summer photos with the sunflowers in the background. Those are becoming increasingly popular. Chelsea, I saw you got some of those, right? Have fun with it. Find out what you want to do. Go after it. I'm going to stop there, and I want to just open it up to Chelsea, Dawn, Brian. I know you guys were on the call for a little bit. What were some key takeaways from you? Maybe just 1 or 2 ahas that maybe inspired some additional thinking for how you're going to plan out being successful this next year.
What jumped out really for me was kind of breaking down, if you want to gross this much, reverse engineering of what you really need to produce and leading that all the way down to how many sellers and buyers you would potentially need to work with on average. I think it made it a lot more approachable for me just to look and see that breakdown. That was what I took away as like one of the most helpful bits.
Great. So what Brian is talking about is what we call the economic model from the Millionaire Real Estate book. And what it basically does is it asks you just what he said. How much do you want to make next year? And then if we were to do a couple quick calculations, we'll be able to break down how much GCI that means, and then how many homes you need to sell. And then you can reverse engineer it even down to how many appointments per week you need to go on. And so when you see this huge number of this is how many homes I need to sell, oh my gosh, that looks crazy. But when you really break it down to how many appointments you need to go on, the likelihood is probably just 1 or 2 appointments per week for most people in this coaching program. Mm-hmm. And I think if we really aim to do 1 or 2 appointments a week, you'll be surprised at how quickly you can get to that ultimate number that you wanted to meet. That's a good call out, Brian.
Yeah, I actually ordered that book while we were on the Amazon thing.
Sweet, man. You won't regret it, man. That's one of the things that I'd pay $1,000 for that book, because I read through it and I just was so full of inspiration of like, okay, this isn't as hard as I'm making it out to be. I can have fun doing this. I can earn unlimited income, and here's exactly how. It's totally a roadmap to success.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Chelsea, what is 1 or 2 takeaways from you?
I was actually going to just hit on the same thing. I liked the someday goal to the right now visual. Yes, speaking financially, but also just like, what do you want out of, like, what do you want those financial goals to help you achieve? And like you said, breaking it down all the way down to daily goals, like how many contacts is my goal daily? How many appointments is my goal weekly? Seeing that, I think, helps, and understanding a little bit of how to break it down. and getting those numbers is really beneficial. I think it was just all around pretty motivational, knowing that here's people that have done it. This is kind of how you do it.
That's the beauty of working with Keller Williams and working with within our organization specifically, because we've got some real heavy hitters that are totally willing to share their information, their knowledge, and how they got to where they're at. Dawn, are you still on?
Josh, I'm here. I'm sorry, I was just ordering a coffee. I think one of the big things that, I mean, everybody has said such great things that I would have repeated, but I think one of the big things is I am not a charts and graft kind of girl. I'm just a jump in and do it from a social aspect. So I loved that, because I feel like something I teach my little guys, you do not want to be the smartest person in the room. And I think you just said it, Josh. We have so many tools at our fingertips, and sitting on that just reminded me that I don't have to be great at all of those aspects of things, because smarter people at those aspects, those charts, and they've already done it. So it's not recreating the wheel. I'm just plugging in numbers and doing the work daily.
Would it be helpful, guys, if our next class we did this practice? Keith and Katie, probably for you, and anyone else who wasn't on the call, it'd probably be great. But for you guys specifically, if you didn't already do this, would it be beneficial for us to go through the calculations?
Yes. I would like, you mean like the GCI, net income, all that? Yes, I would like to see it all with numbers.
And we can plug our own numbers into some stuff, get some real good black and white goals. Okay. Well, we'll do that next week. So next week, I think it's crazy, but it's already the 4th Thursday of the month, which means next week is group choice. So next week we will take probably 20 minutes. So a third of the class, and we'll discuss the calculations, but then we'll have 40 minutes available for you guys to bring anything to the plate that you guys might be struggling with, anything that you are having successes with, but just use that as a real good mastermind. Remember, the 4th Thursday, we typically do group choice coaching. So gives you guys a chance to bring your own issues to the table.
Sounds good.
Awesome. And next week, I don't believe there's any crazy classes next week, so we should be back on our normal time of 1 to 2.
Okay.
Awesome, guys. Well, does anybody else have anything before we go?
That's all I got for the day.
Let's get off this darn Zoom. Oh, See y'all later. Let's go
Bye,
kill.
guys.
Bye.